I love this theme song.
Hello and welcome everybody to the We Only Do One Take podcast. It's the only northern suburbs of Melbourne based podcast that is a complete shit show. I am Turch and with me is always my CEO and the #1 user of pornhub.com/insight for his doctorate articles, Kieran.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
You know what? That's going to come up later on in the show because it always does, isn't it?
Pornhub Insights.
Insights. I'm really enjoying it. I can't believe we had last time we had stuff about Bigfoot, which is always good. Posted a little bit of that sort of stuff on.
Oh yeah, it's always it's always good fun. Always good.
Always
fun.
a little bit of fun. Always a little bit of fun. Do you want to turn that volume up there? Because I can't hear myself in there.
Hello.
That's a little bit better. That's a little bit better.
I don't know. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Because I can't hear me during these headphones unless I turn that all the way up. And then that captures like all the sound in the world. There we go.
Technical difficulties on the We Only Do.
Oh, there we go.
There we go. It's a little bit more there.
For the listeners at home, I'm not wearing my usual headphones.
Well, putting it out there, this might be another case of the episode 29 because Kieran's editing this episode because I needed a subtle break from...
And if you're going to be listening to it, it will be for an on-time arrival. Turch.
Yes.
I've got a rant, but it's not quite a rant.
Yeah.
But something that I think you would appreciate.
Always. Okay, Kieran, what have you got for us this week?
And to the viewers, listeners at home, I want you to cast back to when you're about 16, 17 years old, right? And you'd be going to parties and going, oh, I need to take some alcohol with me, right?
Yeah.
But mum and dad might not approve, so I've got to come up with some genius ways to sneak alcohol.
Right.
So there was the flask,
yeah.
Right? You'd use the flask. Then there's... or even you might have been 18, 19, 20, you might have been going to Falls or something like that, and you don't want to buy...
Or sneaking alcohol into a party or into someone else's house or underage drinking. You know, not that we advocate that, but, you know, it's sort of a bit of a tradition over here in Australia. And I'm sure it is in the USA and stuff like that. But I know Europe is pretty big, but they just let them do it.
You've got to come up with genius ways to sneak alcohol, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
If only children spent just as much time trying to sneak alcohol and playing video games as they did playing guitar, we might actually have some good music on the radio.
But how did you sneak alcohol?
Not that I was late to the game, but my dad.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, wogs drink all the time, so it wasn't like alcohol was always part of the household sort of thing. And when it came to sneaking alcohol, I was just like, I'm just gonna have, just have some alcohol with dad.
Okay.
Dad was pretty cash. Mum was the harsh one.
See, I had an older brother and older sister.
Yeah,
so
they just good. See, I was the oldest.
They just got me. I was fine there. There was once where I think I must have been like 16 and I raided the liquor cabinet, right?
Right.
And I had no idea what I was doing.
Yeah.
Right. And I drank a lot. Anyway, I was home like by myself.
Yeah.
Actually, my parents might have even been there. Anyway, I went to bed with my head spinning. Right. Like, I don't know.
Are you talking about when you were 16 or this is like last Saturday night?
There isn't much difference between the two, right?
No, one you were filled with a kebab, the other you weren't.
Exactly. So no. And then I remember the next day, like I was hungover.
Yeah.
I had no idea how much I had to drink, and I was forcing shots down right when I was 16. And thank God my parents went out for the day because I could not get out of bed. Like that was, I've had a few bad hangovers, and most of them between the ages of 16 to 21. Right?
I think you're talking about like having to struggle to take shots. And I think I'm at that age now where I'm just like, I'm overdoing shots. Are you at that age yet?
Oh, yeah. Well, no. I probably, maybe if I'm completely shit-faced on the count, the shots will come out. But
otherwise, you don't think about... So, like, I remember when I was 21, like, we met with, like, when we were about 21, 20, 19, that sort of age. And I remember back then, it was just like, we want to do shots? Absolutely. It was like the first drink you did before you did anything else.
That's right.
And now it's just like, do you want to do a shot? No, but that craft beer that we have on tap here, that stout-looking one with the caramel undertones, I might have a pint of that. And then I'll try something different. And then I'll make my way into the scotches. Like, we start here with a lovely Glenmorangie scotch.
which will be making a feature as our sponsor tonight. Later on in the episode.
Of course.
I feel like we may have forgotten a sponsor last week as well.
I think we did. But that's okay. It's okay. That was one of our own funded episodes.
Self-funded.
Yeah.
We're bootstrapping this.
So you were 16. You were in bed dying of alcohol poisoning.
And my parents, they went out today. Thank God. Right? Thank God, because I was... Anyway, long story short... they found out that the liquor cabinet had been raided, and I blamed my brother. Now, that's not the point of my story, though.
Right. Don't get bogged down in details, Kieran.
I just need to set the scene.
Setting scenes. Good.
That you've people have done this, right? Like my someone I know went to Falls Festival, right?
Yeah.
And they, with their car, they opened up like the inside door part of their car.
Oh yeah. Okay. I get what's going on.
And they did it was a Holden Commodore.
Yeah.
And they snuck like bottles of Jim Beam and then put the inside car plastic bit back, so that when they drove into Falls and security searched their car, they had no alcohol, and they
actually had alcohol.
They actually had genius way of sneaking alcohol.
Perfect.
Now picture this, right? Have you heard of Rollies?
Yeah, they're the like roll your own cigarettes.
No. There's Schoolies. Then there's Toolies.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant like rolling your own cigarette stuff.
No.
They're
Schoolies. Then there's Toolies. And then there's quite a big gap, and then there's Rollies.
So what we are at the moment.
No, we're not Rollies. Rollies is for retirees.
Oh, okay.
Right? So it's retirees on Schoolies.
Is that a thing?
I've made it a thing. Now,
right. Well, we have a name for the episode.
All right, now, like I said, this is not quite a rant, but it's sort of there. It's more of story time with Kieran.
This is story time with Kieran, yeah.
I'm at dinner.
Right.
I'm with my old man and my stepmother.
Yeah.
A very nice place. They live in southeast suburbs of Melbourne. We were in Brighton.
Lovely,
which I swear everyone that lives in Brighton has never left Brighton.
No.
They don't know the world exists outside of Brighton.
No.
It is such a bubble.
It is.
And we were in a pub, which was more or less like a silver dining restaurant.
It's a bit too upper class for a pub, is what you're saying.
Exactly. Right? I feel like I really had to dress up to go to this pub, which you should never do for a pub.
No.
And the meals were fantastic. The service was fantastic. The pub even had a CEO. Now, me being a CEO and the pub owner being a CEO, I didn't have to pay for dinner. Now, that's great. Maybe because we also...
He gave you one podcast episode and he gave you a Parma. What a deal.
I didn't even go for the Parma.
What a steal of a deal. What did you order?
I ended up getting the roast of the day.
Oh, that's the cheapest one.
No, the roast of the day was like delish.
Anyway, get to the story. Alcohol. I'm assuming this story has something to do with alcohol.
All right, so my old man is going on a holiday.
Yeah.
Right? And he's going to Canada.
Yep.
And he's going on a river cruise. And he's going with...
Old people and cruises, man. Stock up on the Viagra and off they go. They're going cruising.
I mean, I was at the supermarket the other day and I saw this really old lady. I'm like, she doesn't cruise anymore. The cruise market is for certain age brackets.
Yeah.
Right? And my father falls into that.
Yeah.
And he's going with his best friend, right?
Yep.
When he used to live in Altona, who was the postie, right? John. And his wife, Carol. Anyway, they're all late 50s, early 60s, right? They're Australian.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of them going.
Yeah.
Right? So I've called it Rollies.
Rollies.
Now, we're at the restaurant.
I really like this idea, by the way. I feel like we should start this.
Oh, no, I've been banging on Rollies for the last 2 years.
That's good. It's good.
Right. And we're there. And now, before I turn up to my old man's house. And I was doing a little bit of work and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, he's like, right, we're going out for dinner. I'm like, fantastic, right? And he gets off. He's been doing a conference call with all those that are going on this Canada trip, which is in a month's time, right? So a conference call.
Oh, I can't wait till old people can work out Skype and they have them all up to. You know, one of my favorite things on Facebook is old people comments on things.
Yeah.
And it's always just like, it's a picture of something. It's like, oh, hello, darling. Thank you for this lovely picture. You look so wonderful with it. In it. Please make sure your jeans are not ripped next time. Anyway, say hello to the family. It's like, ah.
Yeah.
So good.
So anyway, we're out for dinner, and anyway, Dad starts talking, asking, you excited about the trip, and he's very excited about the trip, blah blah blah, and he goes, oh, there's a problem. We can only take one bottle of wine with us.
Yeah.
right? One bottle. And I was like, is that a thing? I was like, just take more. And he's like, no, there's security and all that kind of stuff. And he goes, don't worry, we figured it out. What we're going to do. And he's like, and this is no joke, the conference call. I missed the conference call, but this is what they were discussing, right? He's like, no, we're going to drink a bottle or drink some wine while we're over there. We're going to wash it. And then we're going to fill my bottle of wine with rum. Anne is going to have a bottle of wine, but she's going to have spirits in it. Carol is going to have a different type of spirits, right? John is going to have...
So they're smuggling in hard liquor in old wine bottles while they're in Canada for the cruise.
Correct. This is why they had a conference call to discuss who was doing what. What alcohol they're smuggling on to this cruise, because they don't want to buy the drinks package, because apparently with the drinks package, to make it worthwhile, they've got to have 13 drinks a day. And that is just... Oh, they wouldn't have 13 drinks in a day. And I'm like, you're bloody smuggling in hard liquor. Like, the amount of hard liquor you guys are smuggling in. You might as well just buy the drinks package.
Oh, I was going to say, so I went on the family cruise and I bought a drinks package. And I had to drink like...
even better, right?
8 or 9 drinks a day or something like that.
Yeah.
And do you know how quickly 8 or 9 drinks goes down?
Very quickly.
Well, I think I paid, it was like 80 or 90 bucks Australian a day for drinks package, right? And a cocktail cost 22 American dollars. And I was having 3 cocktails with breakfast.
Well, because they've got a limit. They've got a limit apparently on this cruise of 15 drinks.
A day?
Yeah, you can't. The drink package just maxes out at 15 drinks a day.
They didn't do that for me.
Right? So they're a little bit, they understand these people that come on these cruises, right? So, and the 13 drinks to make it worthwhile. Now, they were having this conversation, especially the smuggling the wine part, right? When the 20-year-old waitress came over to give us our meals. And I had to go to her, yes, you heard correctly. He is talking about smuggling alcohol.
No. You've added another layer of hilarity to this story, because are they having the conference call while you're having dinner?
No. Conference call was before we went out to dinner.
And they continued the conversation at dinner.
Correct.
This is like a 2-second conversation. Hey, we're going to smuggle in booze. We're going to drink all the wine out of our bottles. You bring vodka. You bring rum. You bring this. I'll bring a scotch, and we're ready to go. Beautiful. That's an email. These are two. I
cannot tell you how excited they were about their smuggling. Right? Like they've never done anything naughty in their entire life.
That's awesome.
This is why it's called Rollies.
You know what? This is fantastic. I'm very proud of your dad. I'm sure that was his idea.
I'm sure
that was his idea. So I'm very proud of your dad, and I hope it all goes well. I want to hear stories after Rollies occurs of exactly what happened on that cruise ship. And I really hope that they don't get everything taken away from them.
Last time this crew went together, right? Last time this crew, they were in Vietnam. And I'm not kidding, the amount of, they just took it. There's only one way to do overnight trains, right? And that's to get absolutely shit-faced.
Yeah.
If you're going on an overnight train and you're overseas, just get absolutely shit-faced. That's the only way you can do it, right?
Seems like it's the only way to travel. See, I think alcohol is like a time travel drug. You drink it, and suddenly it's the future. And you don't know, and that's why your body's sore. After you've time traveled and your body's sore because it has to keep up.
Yeah.
And then an hour later, 2 hours later, after you have something to eat and your body calms down, you're back into the real time. But your body hasn't caught up with the future you yet.
I see.
See,
yeah.
This is real science with Turch.
Well, last time this crew were together, this Rollies crew, they ended up in their underwear running up and down the train.
That's pretty good.
I know. I feel like they have more fun than I do when I go on holidays.
I think they're at that stage where they've got enough money and they don't care.
Yeah.
So they're just like...
They've got enough money to pay the bribe to get out of
Whereas
prison.
we're just like, ooh.
Oh, I don't have enough money to bribe myself out of prison. I won't do that.
No, I won't do that one, yeah. Not yet. But one day it's going to be like, I'm going to bribe my way out of it. But that's a fantastic story, Kieran. I'm waiting for the update on that story.
So it's not a rant. Actually, my rant is, can people please use indicators?
Yeah. I've actually noticed it gets worse in winter. I think less people use indicators in winter.
It's fucking annoying.
It's really bad. It's been really bad recently.
I've just I've not noticed this, but now I've just what the fuck has happened?
Yeah. Also, I think winter brings it out of people. I think people get it's a little bit of rain or a little bit wet on the ground, or it's like a little bit foggy or something like that, and suddenly people's brains just turn off because they're maybe so concentrated on the rain or the water or whatever it is. Brain turn off, indicators don't come on.
And when you're merging, because today, merging on, I mean, it was raining, right? But the other cars were doing about 90 on the freeway, which means you need to get up to 90.
Straight away, yeah, as fast as you can.
Don't do 60.
No.
With cars following you behind you, we can't, for fuck's sake. Anyway.
Well. Anyway, Kieran, last episode, you very abruptly stated...
Shit. What did I say?
That you wanted a Trump watch.
Oh, yes.
And so it's been a massive, massive, massive couple of weeks for Trump, but I'm trying to summarize things in the most exciting, most fun, and most, I like it to be fun. And like I said, I think Trump is a fantastic entertainer, but lots of things have happened to him recently. I mean, apart from bringing peace to the Korean Peninsula, and his wall definitely going up. One article I found, and I've got to bring it up because I want to read it exactly the way. This is the first time I've used a phone to bring up an article.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me just... normally Turch prints out a whole
That's
tree
true.
for the show.
So,
but he actually has a phone in his hand at the moment.
That's true. So here it is. This is the headline. Now, this is a little bit old, but I wanted to bring it in because I didn't want to just to put it on. Sometimes I put things on the Instagram account, and I'm like, I probably should have brought that in because it's some really funny stuff. But this one here, I was going to put on the Instagram page, but I needed to bring it in. So this was from 2017. But the headline is Mexican hookers to drill glory holes in Trump wall.
Yes.
So let me read a bit of this article. Mexican hookers living along the country's border with the United States will cash in on Donald Trump's controversial wall by drilling glory holes to try and suck off Randy Gringos. One of President Trump's central campaign promises was to erect a solid wall along the 2,000-mile frontier between the two countries to halt illegal immigration. While the wall may be bad news for Mexicans slipping across the border, it's good news for suck-happy Latino whores. Hooker Conchita, 23, said, when Senor Trump builds his wall, we will take a big drill and make a glory hole. Senor Gringo will put his Yankee Pito through. We sucky, he pass us plenty Yankee dollar.
Commercializing it.
You know what's great? Like, I thought to myself, Timon fact checked, is this real? Yes, it was in a newspaper in the UK, The Sun. So it was real. Like, it's full on. It's a full real article.
Well, that's a very credible source.
It's a very credible source. So, first of all, first bit of Trump watch, his wall's going to have lots of holes in it. So people can get their dicks...
They've even drilled a hole in the wall.
Yeah. I will definitely put this up on Instagram for everyone to enjoy. So that was the first part of Trump watch. The second part of Trump watch...
Yeah.
I've also got a few bits going on. But the second part of Trump watch is a recent... a black lady was just fired from the Trump campaign. Did you hear about this?
No, I missed this.
Okay, so a black lady was fired from the Trump campaign for not being a good employee. Now, she was an ex-contestant who, on 2 or 3 seasons of... Remember Trump's show, The Apprentice?
Yeah.
She was on that show a couple of times and didn't win either time, but she always... Trump still hired her for other jobs within his organization. She was part of the administration a little bit, doing some behind-the-scenes sort of work. And recently she was fired. And she's now come out and said a whole bunch of shit. She's just like, Trump does all this crazy stuff. He's a bit sexist and racist, but he hired her. I don't understand. It's one of those things.
Church, wouldn't you do that, though? If he fired you, you'd take the opportunity to go, I'm going to make it this big news story and cash in.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And that's all she's doing. But one of the things that she said, and this is why I'm bringing it in, and the lady's name is Omarosa Maggie Galt Newman. And she believes, or she has stated, that she walked in on the president eating paper after a meeting with lawyer Michael Cohen in what she believed was an effort to destroy some sensitive information.
Now, I've eaten plenty of paper after my meetings with lawyers. Turch is doing it right now.
That never happened, people. That never happened. So, Trump is having a field day. So, right now he's got holes in his wall so people can get gobbies. He's eating paper. But the sad news is for Donald Trump, and I'm sure this is going to affect him in such a way that he will never be able to have the lowest black unemployment rate in the history of the United States. He will never have the best Dow Jones in the history of the United States. He will never be able to bring peace to the North Korea, the Korean Peninsula. Mm-hmm. He will never be able to do that because of this. Mm-hmm. A gentleman has attacked with a pickaxe Donald Trump's Hollywood Walk of Fame star and has completely destroyed it.
Oh, no.
Dead set. Completely destroyed it. There's a pickaxe, there's video of it. That gentleman's now in prison, but the star is completely destroyed. And as this news.avclub.com article states, Donald Trump's Hollywood star voted to be removed, rendering him no longer famous. Because that's how things work. So his star has officially been potentially going to be taken down. It's been ruined. I'd just like to say, though, there's his star has been taken down because he's the president. Other stars that are still there, still like Bill Cosby's still there, Harvey Weinstein's still there.
As long as they keep paying their bill.
That's right. And what's his name? So there's a whole whole bunch of stars still there that maybe probably shouldn't be there. But I just thought to myself, if Trump is going to feel bad because of this, I just thought to myself, if he's not famous because of this, I'm going to look through his other awards to see what he's won and see if he is still famous. So he's got a Bachelor of Science in Economics, which he got in 1968.
Who is this?
Donald Trump.
Right.
He's got 4 honorary doctorates.
Oh, 4 honorary doctorates.
One of law in 1998. Mm-hmm. One in humane letters in 2004. Business administration in 2012. And the most recent one, another doctorate of law in 2017. He's also won these awards. The Tree of Life Award by the Jewish National Fund in 1983. Mm-hmm. The Ellis Island Medal of Honor in celebration of patriotism, tolerance, brotherhood, and diversity, which he won in 1986. The Golden Raspberry Award for Worst Supporting Actor, portraying himself in Ghost Can't Do It.
Yes, that's right. I'm the winner of the Worst Supporting Actor.
He was also in Home Alone 2. Don't forget that. Very important.
Oh, shit, really?
Yeah, he was, yeah. He was the Time Person of the Year in 2016. The Financial Times Person of the Year 2016. And, of course, probably the most important award he's ever won. He is in the WWE Hall of Fame, which he got in 2013. That's amazing. Absolutely amazing.
The WWE?
Yeah, he's in the Hall of Fame of the WWE.
Shit.
Because he loves Vince McMahon. He's mates with him. And, of course, he's the President of the United States. But let's put that to a side. So, after all those awards, I think, and the destruction of his star, I'd just officially like to say, as part of the We Only Do One Take podcast, we can officially all agree, I think, that Donald Trump, the leader of the free world, is not famous.
Well, I've got some Pornhub insights. This is actually, I've never searched this, and I just did a quick Google search.
Did a quick Google search,
and it's Trump versus Clinton searches.
Yes.
On Pornhub. We haven't talked about
this. No, this is good. This
is back in 2016, so data's a little old. But
2 years, fresh enough.
So basically, Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, once they were confirmed, this is what happened. Donald Trump was searched 144% more, or people searched in Pornhub for Trump 144% more than they searched for Clinton.
Now that's good.
Women are 26% more likely to search for Trump compared to men.
Hey!
Men are 556% more likely to search for Clinton compared to women. Now, breaking it down by age groups,
Yep.
the 18 to 24-year-olds are up 92% in searching for Trump.
Yes?
Every other age bracket has a decrease.
Yep. That's fair enough.
Now we're looking at Clinton searches on Pornhub. 18 to 24-year-olds up 61%.
Yep.
Every other age group.
Go straight up.
Now every other age group is down except for the 45 to 54-year-olds who are up 62%.
Can we get the stats for Melania Trump?
Oh,
I'm sure that will be. I'm sure that
something-
will be a lot higher than both Donald Trump and.
Something else also
Hillary
really
Clinton.
interesting. You know the state Utah,
Yeah.
right? Which is, I believe, quite conservative.
I was gonna say Bible state.
Yeah, Bible state. One of the most popular Pornhub searches for Clinton.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Maybe they just wanted to see her get fucked like Donald Trump did to her.
So that was just amazing.
I can't believe she couldn't win a rigged election.
Really fascinating insights.
Well, speaking of schadenfreude.
Okay.
Now, I was talking about this. I sort of wanted to bring in a story of schadenfreude every so often, and I realized that you didn't really know exactly what that was.
I thought you were having a fit before. That's all.
Probably.
that's
So
all
it's a
I-
German word.
Okay.
And it basically
Oh,
means...
like Schnauzer.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
I don't know. I'm not German.
Schnauzer?
Schnauzer's the dog.
Okay.
Yeah. And schnitzel is
Hagen
like a
Hugen?
chicken.
What's the chicken?
Schnitzel, like the chicken schnitzel.
Oh, there you go.
I don't know what chicken is in German. Nonetheless, schadenfreude is...
Was that my computer binging?
Actually, it's computer beeping.
Oh,
It's
I
alright.
don't know how to turn that off.
And it won't be in the
Well, there you go,
recording.
people. I've got an email.
Add to the pile.
And in fact, it's from Morning Brew.
Oh, there you go. There you go. But schadenfreude, Kieran, is when you take pleasure in the despair of others or others' misfortune.
I understand.
Yeah. So, I got a story about that. And I thought I'd share it with everyone. So, I had a teammate at work who joined the team, and I've been doing some of the background data analysis, but also like doing a lot of the finance stuff and ordering things for the team, like laptops and all that sort of stuff. So, sort of just playing a bit of a support role at the moment while we sort of, until we do some of the contract work. So I purchased my teammates some laptops so they can do some remote work and not bother me and stuff like that. And ordered some laptops.
What type of laptops?
Oh, I don't know. Some whatever my work provides through the system.
So Apples?
I think it's Acer.
Oh,
Nah, yeah.
boo.
Yeah.
Boo.
Anyway, so I ordered them. And they said, it's going to take like a month by the time we get them down, put all the software on it, this and that. I'm like, yeah, whatever. It doesn't bother me. Yep, I approved the money. My boss approved my approval of the money. And I said, guys, it's going to be about a month. The lady in my team got very upset. It's like, oh, no, a month's too long. So after 2 weeks, she started calling them. And calling them, like, every day. And they're like, we can't do anything. It's the supplier. This and that. Like, what are you going to do? And I called them up and said, look, I'm real sorry about this lady. Like, I feel like with IT, if you make a little bit of a friendship, they usually help you out, like, in the long term.
Yeah. Now, that's my strategy. Number one, admin staff.
Yes.
Bring in cakes.
Yes.
Make sure you get a card for Easter.
Yeah.
And some chocolates.
That's right.
At Christmas time. Be nice to them.
It's the people that support all these little functions.
Right.
That help you do your stuff.
Always support those people.
Exactly right.
Because when shit hits the fan
They're the ones you want to go to.
and you need something
Yeah,
done.
yeah.
I think I've told this story, but someone needed it when we changed offices. Unfortunately, someone who caused so much of an issue wasn't allocated a desk.
Oh, no, the horror.
And then all these other people came up and were allocated desks. But this one person
Who was a pain in the ass?
who was in the pain in the ass, unfortunately, her bit of paper sat on someone's desk for much longer. And unfortunately, just got misplaced.
Yeah, that's right. So anyway, I've talked to these guys. They go, look, we're getting it all done. Finally getting in the laptop. It's going to come next week. I'm like, perfect. Look, I'm happy with that. Thank you so much for your hard work. In the meantime, I do all this big data analysis thing. And I find 3 converging points of data that all sort of sync up. I have a ratio for some of the products that we're going to buy and this and that for male and female. And I'm like, look at this data. This is my thing, right? I've been doing data.
You're getting a hard on about the data.
Absolutely. Hard on
Got
about
it.
the data. Present it, and she's just like, no, that's wrong. That's wrong. That's no good. I'm like, okay. So she angered me all week. I finally talked to my boss about it, and he's like, no, it's perfect. I'm like, great. That's important to the story because it's anger building up inside me. And I'm like, God damn it.
So basically, you've got a hard on. Someone said no.
Yeah.
The hard on's gone semi.
That's
You've
right.
gone to your boss.
That's
and
right.
it's fully erect.
Fully erect
Got
now.
it.
Anyway, finally the laptops come. So I give her her laptop and I'm like, here you go, enjoy. She's like, this is great. It works perfectly. I'm like, I know because I was nice to the people. It even has all this other stuff in it that you weren't expecting. Anyway, she takes it away for the week and she comes back after the weekend and calls me over to her desk.
Now, is this an equal in
Uh,
the hierarchy?
Yeah, give or take.
Okay.
Give or take. Nothing too fancy. She goes, oh, Turch, I got to show you something. I'm like, oh, okay, what's going on? She opens up her laptop and half her screen doesn't work. Because she cracked it.
Now,
And
number one, I have said this to a few other people. I was saying, if you want to climb up the career ladder, don't make work for your boss harder than it needs to.
No.
And don't make them vouch for you because you've stuffed up, right?
Yeah.
Just make it really easy for them.
Yeah.
That's number one. All right, so she's failing. She's failed twice.
Failed twice.
She's failed twice. She's been a nuisance to IT, which you've had to sort out.
Yeah.
And now she's cracked her screen.
Now she's cracked her screen, which she's going to have to go back to. Where? IT. And she's like, oh, what should I do? I'm like, well, the laptop's under your name. That's how we set up the laptops. You'll have to contact IT and get it fixed. And she's looking at me like, but how am I supposed to do work? And I went, look, you just have to do some sort of workaround. Call IT. And I'm like, you know what time it is, Anthony? Or Turch? There you go. It's time for a coffee with Dan. And I went to have a coffee with Dan, and the rest of the day I was glowing in this schadenfreude because I was so happy with the outcome of this story. And that's my schadenfreude of the week, and I'm sure this is going to come back up. The stories like this are going to come around a bit more, this bit.
That is brilliant. No, but it is brilliant. You know why? Because of karma.
Karma. Chameleon.
That is just, look, and this is I was having a conversation with someone else, right? And do you know what? Like, yes, she's got to she's not looking at the opportunity here, right? She doesn't have a laptop.
Yeah.
She can't do work.
Yeah.
How long does it take for the laptop to arrive? Probably another month. That means she's got a month of doing jack shit and getting paid for it. She's not seeing the opportunity.
Yeah, I know, but she's annoying, so it's funny.
Plus, she's also shitting herself.
That's right. She broke a laptop.
She's broken a laptop.
Kieran, what have you got for a news article over there? Have we had a news article from you yet?
No, not yet. Other than her.
Welcome to this news podcast where we do no news and just rants and schadenfreude and talk about Trump's star.
Nope, those aren't mailboxes. Paris rolls out sidewalk urinals.
Oh, fucking.
In Paris, authorities are taking an unusual approach to combat the source of public urination, making urination even more public. The city is experimenting with completely exposed, eco-friendly urinals.
Why don't they just pee behind the left-hand side car tyre like a normal person?
I don't know. The devices are called Uriterotera.
Nailed it.
Thank you. Which combines the words for urinal and pavement. They are not at all subtle. They are bright red and heavily trafficked areas. For example, directly next to the I don't know how you pronounce that, or
That's like the sidewalk sort of
the
thing.
scene near the Notre Dame Cathedral.
Yep.
Check it out.
Oh, don't move too much because it's connected. Oh man, that's ugly. Oh man, it looks like a
letterbox.
I was gonna say it looks like, it does look like a letterbox, but it looks more like one of those rubbish bins.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like, where you could stick your dick in. How do girls go?
Oh my god! I don't know, but check out the sign that's up above it.
Oh, I can't read from here. What does it say?
Oh, it's a cartoon
Oh.
of a man. You know when you pee and you like totally arch your back?
Oh yeah. He's getting the arc of the P.
That is what the sign symbol looks
That's
like.
fantastic.
So yes. Yes. Oh, men pee into the device, which is filled with straw and other composting material to keep odors down. It doesn't say anything about women.
I can't wait till birds just fly in there and go, hey, this is a great nest. It's already done. And then this guy comes in and shoves his dick in there and pisses on a bird.
Why don't they just build toilets?
Probably more expensive, and I'm probably sure some architect. It's like open floor plans, right? People they sell them as like, oh, you get more communication with your team because you're there's no barriers, this and that. Where they've actually done research and there's no benefit whatsoever having open floor plans. It just saves space on the floor, so it's cheaper for the organization.
If you want to have functions, you need more water coolers.
Yes.
The conversation always happens around the water cooler.
You need a water cooler, you need coffee, you need... See, you know what though? I'm actually a little bit for this.
What? The urinals?
Yeah, because in Australia, and I'm sure you've seen them in the city, after the first sort of terror attack happened in London or Paris, where they drove the bus, remember that?
Mm.
Australia's or Melbourne's response was to build
concrete blocks.
Those concrete blocks. It's huge, what are they, 1 by 1 meter thick?
It's a cube.
It's a cube of concrete, but they're not just one, a whole row of them. And people sometimes decorate them and dress them up, but I'm like, oh, they're eyesores. I'd be much happier with a couple of urinals.
Well, maybe because those block things, cubes, they're temporary.
They say that, but
they will be
temporary,
replaced.
Right? I mean, the government's not going to give away good concrete.
Might take 10 years.
Yeah. They're going to find someone to buy the cubes. Is that a capital project? Yeah, we can capitalize on that. How? How is this making things better?
Do you know what? They'll get rid of the cubes in 5 years, but there'll be capital works or whatever, and the cubes will be painted.
No, you know what'll happen? They'll get rid of them, and the next government will go, we need more cubes. And run on cubes.
We need a cube cell. Maybe we should make the We Only Do One Take podcast cube.
If someone decorates a cube in the city and writes We Only One Take podcast, takes a photo, we will give them one of our collectible spoons that Kieran's working on.
Absolutely. Tonight's podcast is brought to you by Glen Moray. It's the Speyside Single Malt Scotch Whisky Elegant Classic. It's a port cask finish. It's a product of Scotland. 40% alcohol volume.
You know what this was it Scotch cask? What did they say there? Port cask.
Port
you know
cask.
what that means?
Means
So they make port in in those barrels.
Yeah.
And then after that they take the port out. And then when they ferment the Scotch, they pour the Scotch straight into those barrels.
Right, okay.
And because the wood of the barrels already have port in them, it sort of infuses.
Yeah.
And that's how you get that sort of bit sweeter taste and a bit of that port undertones, berry undertones in your Scotch.
I do love a good port.
Yeah, me too.
The Glen Moray distillery has been producing single malt Scotch whisky since the 19th century from Elgin, the capital of Speyside, Scotland's most famous whisky region. That's Glen Moray single malt Scotch whisky.
It's fantastic. Good stuff.
Oh, thank you. Is it my turn for an article? Or
Yeah,
your
you
turn?
can do another article.
I'll do another article.
So I got a big one. I got a big ending, I think.
You got a big ending?
Well,
I've got a few smaller ones.
All right. I got a few very small thing. There's a new Simpsons movie coming out.
Yeah. Oh, shit. Hang on. I'm not sure whether I like this.
No, I don't like it at all. I think it's a terrible idea.
I didn't like the Simpsons movie.
Neither did I. Yeah, anyway. Just letting people know, not a fan of the Simpsons movie. I'm not going to be a fan of this one. I can already feel it in my bones.
Will you go see it?
Of course. I'm a fucking idiot. No, but I just heard, I read here, this. You know what shit me the most about this? Now I'm struggling to find the article.
I This is what happens when you use paper, people.
Here it is. This is what shit me the most about it. According to journalist Ben Fritz, the 20th Century Fox Film Network is developing the film despite the company being in something of a limbo situation as it faces being purchased by Disney. The Simpsons might be owned by Disney.
Oh.
So we're going to invest
Well,
in the
actually,
stocks.
Disney's doing all right with those movie remakes. Like Star Wars, they did all right.
Star Wars has been terrible.
Yeah, no, but this is the thing. We're not the market anymore, and the kids love it. Yeah, I better buy some stocks.
Yeah, me too.
I hate it, but if
I'll buy
if
some stocks.
the stocks are going to go up, I'll buy it. All right, I've got a few here.
Yeah.
All right. Here's the most... Well, this is an interesting one. Cows allowed to visit Swedish nudist beach in heatwave.
What are the cows going to do? Look at the tits. Ooh.
The government in southern Sweden have granted permission for cows to visit nudist beach during the prolonged summer heatwave.
They shouldn't call their women that.
Despite complaints from locals.
It just makes the sentence funnier.
According to the local news website, nudists have been complaining to officials in provincial Småland about livestock visiting their beaches, saying that their presence is unhygienic and could pose a health risk.
Is it because they wear leather jackets?
Probably. It says the roasting summer heat affecting
Sorry, that was
much.
just the worst joke.
That's why I've continued to move on.
I know. Continue.
Not even going to note it. It says the roasting summer heat affecting much of the continental Europe has led to drought throughout the country and has meant that farmers have been struggling to feed their animals. This has meant that some of the farmers have decided to slaughter their cattle earlier than usual, but others have instead decided to bring their livestock to nearby nudist beaches. There's no food, there's sand, in order to cool them down.
Cool down, yeah.
Right.
What do you think? They're bringing them there for the lovely sand dunes. No, they're there to cool down.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, speaking of farmers, Australia's struggling at the moment. We've been in drought for about 150,000 years. And but the Clichés, which is my band, with the lovely Jessica, we are performing at Bar 303 in Northcote on the 8th of September. We are supporting the Gammy Devils, and all the money raised on the night will be going towards the farmers as a water relief or aid relief. I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head. And Kieran will be introducing us.
That's right, I will be.
Exactly.
No,
So
and there'll be no tangents. I'm getting bogged down in details.
So make sure you come on down 8th of September at Bar 303. There's an event on Facebook, but I'm pretty sure I posted it on Facebook and Instagram and stuff like that. But check it out. Hope to see you there.
Oh, very nice plug there, Turch.
Thank you.
All right, I've got two more, and then I'll hand it over to you.
Yeah.
All right. Here we go. Dad devastated to discover he was grieving for daughter at wrong grave for 30 years. A British man said he felt let down after discovering he was mourning for his daughter at the wrong grave for 30 years. George told the BBC his daughter Victoria died in July 1988, just 2 days after she was born. The family buried the girl at the Southern Cemetery in Manchester. The father said he visits the graveside twice a year, but was surprised one day to find the grave he thought was Victoria's was empty. I looked down and was completely gobsmacked. I thought, where's the stone gone? Anyway, apparently the cemetery had discovered that the headstone at the public grave that contained the remains of Victoria and 16 other people were in a different spot. When the gravestone was erected in the 1980s, it was apparently moved to a vacant spot, but employers discovered this year it was in the wrong area and moved it back.
So the body wasn't just not there. It was just a headstone. So they moved the headstone to the right area.
Correct. But didn't tell him. And he'd been going to the wrong area for 30 years. And in more important news, Germany is rapidly running out of beer bottles.
Well, that's why all these companies are going to cans.
Yeah.
A lot of companies have been doing cans. Have you seen those cans that open up instead of having like the can?
Oh, I thought you meant cans as in the city. No, cans.
No, cans, like actual physical, like
cans.
aluminium cans.
Yeah, right.
You know?
Yeah.
Have you ever seen those cans instead of having like you pull the ring tab?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it has like the little hole.
Yeah.
They pull like all the way off, like a can of tuna.
Yeah.
And you can drink. I thought that was pretty neato.
It's pretty cool. Well, in Germany, beer consumption is up as temperatures remain unusually high.
I'll be in Germany very soon.
This is good and bad news for the beer industry. While the breweries have more than enough beer to go around, which is good news. They're running out of bottles because customers are not returning their empties quickly enough.
Oh, that's all right. They could just leave me a keg.
There are about 4 billion beer bottles in circulation somewhere in Germany.
That's pretty good.
And each bottle is refilled up to 30 times.
That's good. I'm glad that recycling actually works instead of the plastic bags from Coles and Woolworths.
Yeah.
That's fucking shit. I got a quick one, then we can have a bit of a discussion.
Okay.
Sometimes I like to bring in serious things, but most of the time I like to bring things about Pornhub. Pornhub promises Nintendo Switch support if browser is released. So for everyone who is hoping that the Nintendo Switch will get more third-party support, you'll be happy to know that Pornhub has announced in an official press release that it promises support for the Switch. The only caveat is that Nintendo has to release an official internet browser for the system. The announcement came in from Pornhub's 2017 Year in Review series, which is the extremely popular porn sharing website, is revealing different statistics for last year. In its video game console segment of the Year in Review, it reveals various statistics about how many users are viewing porn on the website through a game system. So you know, accessing stuff like porn on Nintendo DS, which is funny enough. The interest in Pornhub,
13-year-olds are going to love this.
The interest Pornhub has in the Switch perhaps stems from the spike in porn traffic from the Nintendo 3DS. Through the Switch's portable predecessor only makes a 1% of the market share for porn on game systems. There was a 110% increase in traffic for that specific platform. On the opposite end of the spectrum, though, the Nintendo Wii saw an 83% decrease. Obviously, because the Wii is the older console, the Switch is the new console. A lot more market there. So there you go. So eventually, Pornhub, if Nintendo create a individual browser for their system, Pornhub will go, yep.
Yeah, all the 13-year-olds are going to be across this, right?
This is amazing.
12 and 13-year-olds are going to be across this. Parents will have no bloody idea.
Well, apart from the fact they're going to get home and see their kid jerking it, and so it's like, how are you getting access to that? Oh, it's the Nintendo Switch. But have you seen the Switch? So it's like
you got a doobacky and a.
I know you're a Nintendo 64 man.
And you plug it in and you plug that in and you got a device.
Yeah. So
plug it and
it's like think of the Nintendo 64. You can play games on the screen and stuff like that, but you also have a screen, like a controller in your hand, but it's also got a screen on it. But you can take that screen and play portable. So if someone's watching TV in one room, you can take your handheld part of the device and play a Nintendo game on your handheld console somewhere else, which is pretty cool. And play games and connect on the internet and stuff like that.
Well, there you go.
There you go. So
I'm old-fashioned. I'm a Nintendo 64 person.
I know.
That's
you and your Mario Karts. What a child.
Hey. Mario Kart 64 is still the best game out there.
I would say I like Mario Kart, but I was a PlayStation kid, and Crash Team Racing is always going to be my favorite.
Oh, that's right, you youngin'.
I'm not that young.
Young enough not to enjoy 64.
I did play lots of 64. My friends had 64, I was a PlayStation guy. What can I say?
Don't give me that.
Oh, speaking of youngins.
Oh dear.
Yeah. Kieran, some really interesting things have coming up in the Australian news recently about ATAR scores and people who are going into teaching.
Oh, is this the guy that got 17?
I got to talk about this because it really frustrates me, right? So yes, I should explain. So in Australia, the final grade in a high school setting or a college setting is year 12.
Yeah.
And once
and at the end of your exams, you get a score between 0 and 100.
And 99.95, whatever it is.
Yeah, basically 0 and 100.
And it's a ranking system. Like it's like a bell curve, isn't it? Like only so many people can get the top end of the score, and everything's sort of balanced out through bell curves.
Like 50 is the
for individual subjects, and they sort of
no. But for that 0 to 100, like 50 is if you're above 50. you're smarter than 50%.
Yeah. Bell curve,
Yeah.
basically. Yeah.
So 50 is the middle ground.
Yeah. So as long as you get past that, and what universities do is because university is, I'm going to put in quotes here, free here, but you have to pay it back through Hex debt. And
You get basically, it's not quite free, but it's a free government loan.
It's a free government loan.
You don't have to pay it
Well,
back.
it's like it's like 0.1. It's like 1% interest a year.
You have to pay it back, but not till you earn like 45 grand. Yeah.
So there's a whole bunch of stuff in here, but basically you have to get a certain score from all your subjects and stuff like that on that bell curve and then apply to universities using that score. And what universities do is go, okay, let's say if you want to study medicine or to be trained to be a doctor, you have to be in the top 5%. And do some prerequisite subjects. Or if you want to do like engineering, you can't just do like media subjects and then go into engineering. No, you got to get a high score, like in the top 15 or 10%, and also do certain subjects as a background. So when you get into that course, you have some sort of idea into what you do. So all these types of courses have different levels of scores needed to go into that subject, into that course. And this just came out in the news. A person, an 18-year-old person, has been accepted into a university in Australia, in Melbourne, with an ATAR score of 17.9 out of a possible 99. So, like, bottom percentiles, at the end of the left-hand side of the bell curve.
Now, this person did do a bridging course.
Yeah, that's true. But still, very low enter score to become a teacher.
Yeah,
To go
I
to a
want to
teaching
know.
course.
I want to know, is this person actually really smart and didn't give any fucks about his VCE?
Well, I don't know. But you know what? I think, and this is where I think it's a discredit to the service of the university to allow someone to do this. And going forward, I thought to myself, what can possibly, how many other universities have done this? So I'm going to call out the university. This was Victoria University, which hasn't got a good reputation. I'll give you that. But other universities such as Swinburne and RMIT, and there was another one as well. But both of those also allowed people in with very low enter scores, under 50, to enter it's now up to a master's of teaching.
No, there's still a bachelor.
There's still a bachelor, yeah. So to do a bachelor of teaching, a bachelor of education. And look, I worked really hard to get my enter score, and I'm sure you did, and I know you did too, because obviously you've gone through the whole education system, did this and that, and to earn your place in the university and work really hard in this, and so did I. And I find it really hard to grasp someone who can get such a low ATAR score, who's going to go to university and then teach people.
Well, see, this is where I differentiate from you, right? And I actually think, based on someone he's done a bridging course, whatever, so obviously he's done good enough to be accepted in. But where the disservice is, right, is that, let's say 17 is reflecting this person's true ability.
Yes.
Right? Let's just make that assumption. Let's say it's reflecting his true ability. He's not going to become a teacher because he's going to rack up a hex debt and fail units.
Well,
There's no way that this person he might pass first year, right? But moving into second, third, and fourth year, it's going to be quite hard to just
continue on to the course.
And he's going to rack up a hex debt and then be left with this debt that he's going to pay.
Well,
and I think that's where the disservice is.
Well, this is it. So I went to two of my favourite sources of information about teachers. One is my mum, who's been a teacher for 30 plus years, nearly 30 years, something stupid like that. Very long time, at a high school level teaching year 12s, and she's also a coordinator and stuff like that. Knows education system back to front. And she was telling me that she sometimes in her classes gets students from Victoria University. And these students are not very good teachers, just as a general sort of statement, in comparison to some of these other universities that students...
Well, the good ones go to Monash and Melbourne. Exactly
right. Or La Trobe. La Trobe's also another really good school when it comes to that. They're another that don't allow people with low enter scores to sort of become teachers. But nonetheless, that's her experience. And she said to me that, yes, a lot of the times, people with very low ATAR scores would go into universities, do the courses, and where they actually fail them is at the last hurdle of the literacy, numeracy, and reading comprehension part of the course. So they could do a 3 to 4 year course, which costs about now in Australia about $30,000 to $40,000. Rack up that HECS debt, like you stated, and fail them right at the end as they're about to collect their degree, which is really, really horrible. Not only for the teaching profession, because it devalues the value of a teaching degree, in my opinion. If everyone's allowed to have one, or be allowed to try out to be one, it devalues that piece of paper. And two, it's very harsh on these people, because now they've got $20,000 to $30,000 to $40,000 debts to the government, which they potentially can't pay off because they don't have that piece of paper.
Yeah, and it's we did this thing in psychology as well, where we've got supply. There's no issue about supply, right? There's so many students, and we actually took a 4th year honours level unit, because psychology is a little bit different. You got to do a bachelor degree, then you got to do an honours degree, and then you got to do another degree, right? But by the time you get to the master's level, like, you've got to be a bloody genius to get in.
Yeah, exactly right.
Which means you've made it.
And that's the thing, like my brother's doing a master's at the moment in his science stuff, in bioscience, and he's pure genius.
Yeah,
you know.
But before you can become a psychologist, so you've got to get past 2 degrees.
Yeah.
But what they did was they brought a 4th year unit down to the 1st year unit.
Right. So weeded them out.
And basically, they've had to adapt the assignment a
little
little
bit. Of course.
Content hasn't changed.
Yeah.
Right? Assignments changed to represent 1st year rather than 4th year. And it's to weed out. It's to basically go, if you want to continue on, you need to know this stuff and you need to be able to do this. Because there's no point you coming into 4th year and then going, I've made a terrible decision.
Well, it's the same as
it's more or less, get out now. And this is what I love teaching on this unit as well, because the unit chair was like, I don't care how great of a teacher you are. Like, they're adults. It's all online. They can get all this information, right? You're just there to facilitate.
Yeah.
And he's basically like, if students don't get it, then he's telling them, think of a different degree.
Yeah. And it's exactly the same sort of thing in second year for, like, I did obviously finance and accounting. Second year is when you start doing financial accounting. And financial accounting, like, even now, like, I've done my degree and that was the subject I hated. But the people who didn't pass it didn't go on to finish their degree. Yeah. And even now, like, you know, I started my further education doing a CPA for a bit when I thought that was going to be my career path. And I knew that, like, once I loved all the other subjects. I loved stuff like, you know, to a degree ethics, but I don't believe in ethics. It's one of those things, right? But like stuff like governance or stuff like auditing or stuff like, you know, international business and trade. Like, that's really interesting sort of stuff. Or even taxation to a degree. I find that quite interesting to a degree. But as soon as you get to the financial accounting, like, you know, it's number crunching for the sake of number crunching of really tedious, complex stuff. And it's so much to take in, because unless you work exactly in that area, you can, like, bypass it almost completely. Like, I was working in budgets, no worries in the world. I didn't need a lot of that sort of stuff. But that sort of weeded out a lot of people that said, maybe I'll just go to a straight business course or go into management or go into some other part of that sort of thing. So I think that's really important. So going on with that sort of stuff, weeding out people, I thought to myself, how many people are actually failing the final exams to become a teacher?
Right, okay.
And I sort of knew this was a thing, because I sort of read some stuff in the background. Because
this is an interesting one, right? Doctors, medical doctors, right? They've got to do their final exams.
Yeah.
Right? Big pressure. I don't have the exact stats in front of me. Yeah. But because they've got such high ATAR scores as well, not many will be failing those exams.
You'd think that they wouldn't.
Now, some might... I know cases of some that have failed, but that's because they're just so bloody anxious.
Yeah.
Going into those exams.
I was going to say, I think a lot of it is anxiety rather than actual knowledge.
Yeah.
You know. So going on with that, with the teachers. And, okay, look, this article is from the US, in New York City. But I think it just rings true all the way around. And speaking with my mum after her reading this article, she completely agreed with it. And it's basically saying, North Carolina, not New York City. Basically, elementary school teachers who have taken the course and gone to their final exam have to pass that literacy exam and like mathematics exams and that. And I can't remember what exactly it was, but I should have written it down. But a majority of them are flunking the mathematics part of the examination. Like a good majority.
Now, is this for primary school or high school?
So primary school. Mm-hmm. So to be a primary school teacher, you have to know a certain level of mathematics. Because, if you're a classroom teacher, you're not just teaching, how to write and read and all that stuff. You're teaching the math portion as well.
Yeah. I'm with you. Yeah.
So you have to know a certain level of mathematics. And what they're saying is, in here, the exam, a lot of them is failing because they don't know the level of mathematics even needed to pass these exams. And what a lot of the teachers are saying, the exam is like too hard because it's not the right level. It's levels above, for us, it's like a 6th grade level before you go into the high school. And they say, some of the questions are like at a 9th or 10th grade level. And I'm just reading this article, like baffled, I can't even, trying to remember what was year 10 maths, like linear graphs, if that, or percentages or time calculate, I can't remember what it was, but I'm sure that if someone goes, here you go, work it out, I'm sure that I could wing it. But for people to, look, you have to get an 85% or higher. But if you're having to... Look,
this has been my thoughts, because I do a little bit of work in schools, right?
Yeah.
Observations. And I actually think prep to grade 3...
Yeah.
In my own thoughts, should actually be its own specialization.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because
that's the fundamentals part of
because sort of grade 4 onwards, they're not learning to read; they're reading to learn, right?
Yeah.
And in grade 4 maths, it's actually you've got to teach them concepts, but it's also now you need
application.
To think about it and apply it and how you right.
It's the critical thinking part of the mathematics rather than just the pure number basis.
So I almost think that prep to 3 should be its own specialization, and grade 4, grade 4 to 6, right, should be its own specialization. But to me, it's more important. I think, do the test, but the test also comes. Here's a child that knows nothing. How are you going to teach that child that needs all that extra support? And can you break it down to teach them that concept?
You're quite right. Because my mum, like I said, my mum's been an English teacher. And that's her specialty. She can do a bit of maths here and there, but English is her forte. And this, for her, like she teaches at a high school, top end of high school level. And I'm like, could you teach a child how to read? She goes, absolutely not, because that's not where my strengths lie. My strengths lie like the critical thinking of the words, not what does this letter in context with another letter actually do. And look, she helped me to read when I was a child and things like that. But in the same sense, going back to this maths test, why people aren't...
See, this is really interesting, right? For me, even though I'm not a teacher.
Yeah.
My skill set, I've got this weird skill set where I've worked with clients, right, who are in that prep to grade 3.
Yeah.
So I'm actually quite competent in educating and teaching people in that end. But then I'm sort of like... I know nothing in the middle, and then I've got university and critical thinking. And like... How to structure a thesis.
Well, that's the thing. Talking to mum, she goes, the most important thing you could do as a teacher is not only know everything about the topics that you're teaching, but the ability, like you said, to critically break down what you're doing to teach someone else if they ask any question to get to an answer. If I'm ever showing people how to play music and stuff like that, people asking me questions about my guitar playing or this stuff allowed me to rethink the way I played guitar and to understand the theory that I learned and the playing that I learned was able to allow me to funnel my ideas together to make a cohesive sort of construct of an idea that I can pass on to someone else. And that's really important. And I think that, mathematics, scores across the board have gone down over time. girls and boys not doing that well in maths across the board. And that's something that the tests that we do, what's the NAPLAN testing and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's a type of maths, but yeah.
It's gone down across the board. NAPLAN's the testing that they do to do all that maths and stuff. And across the board, like literacy and comprehension, reading, all that stuff has been going pretty steadily up, or keeping going. Maths has actually gone down. And I think the big thing is that people going into the teaching profession, because they can't, not that they can't do maths, but they don't emphasize that because that's not one of their strengths. They can't pass on that knowledge that's really needed to their younger students and teaching them. And,
like I said, I think it needs to be a split separation, because you need to be able to teach a concept to a child, which is very different to understanding it.
Yeah.
Like, there's things I understand, but I'm not going to teach you how to cook.
No, that's right.
Like, I know I can do it, but I ain't going to teach. Like, I don't want to even. Yeah.
But I think an important
But then
thing.
you've got this different element, right? Where then you've got kids who now need to start problem solving and thinking, and it's how do you support those kids to get to that answer, or fail and then learn
and keep going,
yeah. which is very different to sort of like teaching.
Yeah. Well, not only that, it's the by having people who are not confident in the understanding behind a certain topic, there's very little chance, or it's a slimmer chance of having, when you're teaching it, to get the person that you're teaching excited about that topic. If you have really in this case, if they don't have a concept stronger concept of math, and a kid really wants to learn, and you can't give that to them because you can't explain things properly or this and that, the child's most likely I'm going to assume anyway, this is just, my child psychology person coming out, right? But I would say, if I was a child and someone didn't know how to explain things properly, I'd probably lose interest. Whereas if someone could explain things and show me and do things with it and, creative with it.
Do you know how much of it's tied in, though? There's, and I feel really, for teachers, especially once they start getting grade 3 or 4, the variation in abilities. It starts to differ widely. Like in a class of 20, like the abilities.
Of course,
and you got to try and cater for all of that,
which is hard. I'm amazed that we can pay teachers so little and get so much out of them. And look, like talking to Mum, I'm like, you could have done project management work and been retired by now.
Yeah,
but she goes, yeah, but the satisfaction I get from being a teacher is more than the money. And I'm like, yeah, well, it's the same as.
But there's
a whole bunch of jobs.
But there's an element to, you give them a work, right? So you teach a concept. Can they then apply that concept and then feel success that they've completed it?
Yeah.
Right. And so there's this weird fine line between you need to be challenged, but you can't be challenged all the time, because then sometimes you don't have as a student, you don't have the confidence to continue on. But when do you need to be pushed? But then you also need to build up so much success.
Yeah, exactly right.
And it's this weird. It's
that risk reward for a student, and that endorphins that gets released by winning or going to that next level. I mean, that's why people play video games. They get that instant gratification. Those endorphins go off, and they go, "Yeah, I'm winning here," even though all they're doing is clicking buttons. Or it's the same as when you play sport and you score a goal or do anything like that. It's that's what drives you to go forward and continue. And I'm sure, and same for education, if you learn something and you can apply it and understand it and enjoy it, you're going to continue to learn that aspect of whatever you're learning. I mean, that's the way I'm looking at it anyway. But I think it's just a real disappointment that our universities are really lowering the bar with the quality of types of people that are going into teaching. I think the only way to incentivize better teachers to go in there is to hire
someone asked me, right?
Yeah.
They go, how come you're not a teacher?
Money.
Now I actually think I would thoroughly enjoy being a teacher.
Absolutely.
Right. And but for me, on the journey that I've taken, I've wanted to be I've really enjoyed the thesis, and I've really enjoyed operating at intellectually at
the next level,
at a high level, right? But for me, it's just like it's money. Like,
Yeah, exactly right.
it's maybe when I'm 40 or 50 and retire from whatever I'm
Yeah.
doing, I might go into it, right?
That's it. Like, so my mum's
But
been
it's-
teaching for so long, but all she's ever wanted to do is be a teacher. And for me, like, I've always looked at her as a teacher and gone, I've never wanted to do that in my life. I'd rather work with spreadsheets all day. It makes more sense to me. And I think that's really important. Like, you know, I think there's people that really want to be a teacher. I think there's people that fall back into being a teacher after doing a degree, not knowing what to do, which I think is really bad. And I think there's people that want to be a teacher that really shouldn't be a teacher. And it's like these people who, on a whole, who have lower enter scores and go through this, don't understand the mathematics and are still going out there teaching our children. Again, it's amazing that we can get so much out of people and we pay them so low. But again, it's that they're getting something out of the job that I wouldn't get out of the job.
See, one of the other things there's a disservice there, right? Because even if say that person who got 17 gets through, passes, they're going to enter the workforce. And so this is something I'm a big fan of, right? They're going to enter the workforce, and if you're not performing, you're out the door. Like, you're
but it's not the same with teachers.
Well, not always, but you would generally start with a 6-month contract or whatever it is.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Oh, now it is. Yeah.
Yeah, so that means hopefully you've got a switched on principle. You're out. You're gone.
Yeah. Well,
and-
I'd like to see more. If
and-
that's the case, then I would like to see more teachers that are shit fired, because I think that they're bringing down the
How
whole.
many shit teachers do you know?
Personally, probably I don't want to name any, but I'm sure that the stories that my mum has told me,
Yeah.
over time, like over she goes, yeah, there's absolutely shit teachers, and she could easily go 5 to 10% of the school of the teachers would be terrible.
Yeah, fair enough. But
Which is the same with all organisations, and I think all those people should be fired as well.
yeah, I sort of.
And I just
this
think
is the conversation I had with
I
someone
just
else.
think the environment of the teaching union is stopping a lot of that, which
Well,
is really scary.
In regards to performance reviews, right? I was talking to someone the other day, and I went, you want to get an accurate performance review, and you want to know that you're not meeting the benchmark so that you can actually lift your game, because you don't want, in the corporate world anyway, 6 months or a year to come down and all of a sudden you're being shown the door.
Yeah.
And you're going, this is all news to me.
I think it's a lot.
It's better to break it early.
I think yeah, in the corporate world, absolutely, it's like that. It's a lot more cutthroat, but but what you're fighting for there is prestige and rank and salary. Where I think in the teaching world, because especially in the public sector, maybe in the private sector is different. My mum covers the public sector. It's a lot very hierarchical. But, you know, once you're there for a long time, you're there for a long time, and that's it. And I don't think at some stages there's nowhere else to go. You get to a top level of something, and there's nowhere else to go unless you want to become, you know, take like the next step, like my mum did, become a coordinator or a vice principal or something like that. And some people aren't up for that task, and some people are, which is great. But the same sense as some people that got really cushy teaching jobs and probably shouldn't be there. And I think it's a real disservice to all the people that have to be, you know, be in their classroom.
Well, that's philosophy with Kieran and
I
Turch.
know, right? And
We only do one take
like
podcast.
sometimes I think the last couple of episodes we've had some real some heavy stuff, and we had a guest and stuff like that. But I want every so often I think coming into this podcast, you know, we had sat down and thought, we've got to bring some serious stuff in here and there. And you know, it's really cool. I actually wanted to try to get Mum onto the show, this one, and she just didn't want to be part of it. Which is fair enough. But it would have been really cool to see your side of things with the philosophy, sort of like, you know, the psychology of all this sort of stuff, and hearing her side of purely talking as a teacher, and then then me as the the accountant on the side.
My big focus, right, and this is one of the things I think.
Maybe we should get a teacher on, have a chat to them.
Maybe we should.
Yeah.
Like 1 in 10 people have an IQ under 83.
Yeah.
Right, which is a problem in our society.
Well,
as far as what are they going to get for work. My other interesting thing is, and I'm not sure whether this is a high school dilemma or whether this is I think it is probably more a high school issue, because university is not a right, TAFE is not a right,
Yeah.
but primary and high school education are rights. So
well, okay, so
And I think it's
I
up
have
to-
an issue with the way you're talking about it as a right. It's still a privilege But I understand
what
what
I'm
you're
saying is
it's a necessary of our society.
Once you finish year 12, for you to go on to TAFE or university,
that's a
an
privilege.
absolute
That's a
privilege.
privilege.
It's no one is making you go there, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I think it's actually probably year 10. I think year 11 and 12.
I think when you're a certain age, I think it's like 16 in Australia. So yeah.
Anyway, whatever it is, right? But it's more or less. That's probably that's why I sort of say it's maybe the high school end of things, but it's a matter of how are we going to because people need jobs.
Well, look,
and what are we doing? Because and it's hard for a 16 or 17 or 18-year-old, and universities and TAFEs definitely need to be gearing people for employment. That is definitely their thing. But what are we doing? Gearing up. So this is a conversation I had with another parent the other day. And saying, well, your child does have some extra difficulties. Why does he have to fit the mold of a high school?
Yeah.
That's not actually going to be the best
learning environment or something.
And for him to have the best outcomes.
Yeah.
He's probably going to have a very smart kid, right? But he's probably going to have far better outcomes, for instance, because he really loves cooking.
Going to TAFE.
Well, it's going to TAFE early.
Yeah.
Or even going to work in a cafe or a
being
restaurant.
a sous chef or something like that. Going to get an apprenticeship or something like that.
Yeah, and starting that and learning business and learning how to set up a cafe and all those kind of things, right? And that. And maybe supplementing school after hours or something like that through whatever the means. But I was like, why does he have to meet that? Because this child is going to go through high school, probably be picked on. Right, get to end of year 12. You see this.
Be miserable.
Be miserable.
Yeah, and not motivated. If you're miserable, you're not motivated.
Yeah, have a lack of motivation, and then sort of go, well, I'm still socially far behind all my other peers.
Yeah.
And now I've got to compete with all of them in this marketplace. Yeah. Like to me, I'm just going for this person, it's not making sense, and to get you're better off gearing this person up for employment.
I think especially in Australia, we've put so much emphasis on going to university that, nearly, I would say a majority of people almost go to university these days, or especially, I would say double.
Graduation rates are about 40%. It's about 40%.
Yeah, but going to university.
That's what I meant, going a degree.
Yeah.
So the amount of Australian population with a degree fits somewhere between 30 to 40%.
But I'm sure that's doubled or tripled in the last 30 years, 40 years.
Has.
And because of that, I think that the value of a bachelor's degree has definitely deflated. And now, I was talking to some people that are in the science field, and they're like, oh, yeah, to get a job these days, like a graduate role, you need a master's. Or, or you need minimum, starting your doctorate. And it's just like, this is for a $50,000, $45,000, $50,000 job, and you want experience. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
You're putting so much pressure on these people, and then to come out of a school environment where you're working your ass off to go to a job where you're probably just doing admin work. In realistic terms, you're coming from, a job thing where you're doing proper research into a job you're most likely, especially I guess in a financial environment or lab environment or something like that, probably is going to be doing not very interesting things.
You
lose motivation for the workforce.
Your work has got to be. You'll get paid if the market's there.
Oh yeah.
If the market's there, if there's a job there that fits the market, you'll have work. So I was speaking to someone the other day, right, and loves gaming. Yeah, loves gaming, and I was like, you know what? If you love gaming, let's pursue this road. Let's find out in my networks. Do I know anyone in gaming? Can we make any interviews or meetings? And there's actually a few people that I know that love gaming. And one parent was like, "Oh no, my child's not doing gaming." And I was like, "You've got to be kidding me! It is a booming industry."
But
it is.
Yeah,
it
exactly
is
right.
a booming industry, right? And I don't think you understand. I don't think this parent you understand the markets of games and being able to create games or work for games like start getting if that's what you want to do,
you
can wake up every morning and you can work 20 hours and doesn't feel like you're working. Let's support you in that role and getting that and figuring out what you need to do. Do you need to go to university? Do you need to go to TAFE? Or do you need to start actually building your own games?
Well,
and developing
that's what I've always heard,
developing your own skill set.
Well, that's what I've always heard. Like, you know, we've had friends that have gone to music schools. I've got friends that dropped out of music schools. I've got, you know, Jess went to a music school for a bit. I didn't go to a music school, and I got a mate that did full university thing. And we all play in a band together. And the people that are happiest to play music are the people who didn't go for that full education, proper education of study. In fact, the saxophonist for the Clichés, for instance, is not playing saxophone at all anymore. And he's the only one with I think a master's in music or something, or a bachelor of music or something like that. Pure professional. Like, you know, he could be hired for any sort of professional gig and just be like that. Yeah, sight reader, no worries at all. But he hasn't played sax in about 6 months. Because he just lost interest. Like, you know, it went from a passion to that. But because of the education system of being like, you know, this is what you have to learn, sort of, instead of just going out and creating and gigging and doing this and that, he wasn't able to do that, and he lost his passion for it, which is really sad. Because I didn't get to play with him anymore. You know, that's one of those things. But Kieran, I think this has been a little bit too heavy. I'll do a quick thing about Nintendo. We did another thing about Nintendo just before, and then we'll wrap it all up. But basically, apparently... actually, I got it. This is not the story I was looking for. I'll do this story instead. I just liked it for the
Normally, it's me that's unorganized. What's going on, Turch?
You know what? This is the first time I've had like 20 pieces of paper. Usually, I colored down to like 10. I've got like 20, and I forgot to put the numbers down the bottom. Sort of stuff. But anyway, I just liked it for the headline. 4 women on a unicorn get stuck in the weeds, and deputy ropes them in. Yeah, I thought that too. A giant floating unicorn with rainbow-coloured wings was not able to fly free of the weeds Saturday, leaving its 4 passengers stranded offshore in the Chicago County Lake. Fortunately, the Chicago County Sheriff's Office had a squad car in the area, and deputies spotted the horn and the dilemma. Driving by the local lake, we observed a bunch of women in the rainbow unicorn stuck in the weeds, said the Sheriff's Office, reporting to the Sunday Evening in a tweet, using emojis for the rainbow and the unicorn. In the tweet included a video of the not particularly dramatic rescue. The deputy tosses them a rope to the women, barely containing their laughter, and he pulls them to the dock. And the women stated, "The cops saved us."
Yeah.
But again, 4 women on a unicorn get stuck in the weeds. Deputy ropes them in. I just thought that's what drew me in. See, that is great headline writing, and I commend that person. Obviously, he had a good teacher, good education, that passed the maths degree. Maths part of their course really well. Kieran, thank you so much for another fantastic episode. This was a long one, but I'm glad we could...
1 hour and 22 minutes.
Bloody hell, you're going to have to edit that one. Hope it's up tomorrow.
I don't think there's much editing to do.
That's good. It's good. Well, look...
I know all my emails are coming in. I thought it was turned it off. Anyway.
That's all right. But look, for all you lovely wankers out there, make sure you follow us on SoundCloud, on iTunes, on YouTube, on Instagram, and Facebook. You know what I noticed? No one has left us a review on our iTunes page.
We have an iTunes page?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I was fixing an iPad not too long ago, and I made sure that when I gave it back, before I gave it back to them, I subscribed to us on their iPad app for podcasts and made sure they're subscribed, so they'll be getting notifications all the time now. So make sure you subscribe to us on that. If you'd like to email us anything, we already got something through for something else for one of our fans / guests on the show, Damien. He sent us through something really cool. Maybe I'll post it up. See how we go. But if you'd like to send us anything, make sure you email us at weonlydoontakepodcast@gmail.com. Kieran, thank you for another fantastic episode.
Thank you.
And we will see you next Thursday.
Alrighty, there we go. That was beautiful.
That was good.
Yeah.